Let's welcome in Jerry Dipoto for our weekly conversation. Jerry, our first chance to talk here post-trade deadline. Obviously a fascinating day around the league and specifically for the Mariners. You guys ended up being quiet at the very end. What did you make of the deadline process in general?
I thought we were able to accomplish what we set out to accomplish. We would have liked to have done a little bit more if it were possible, but we knew going in that it was a particularly robust seller's market. And, it turned out to be a little bit on the quiet side around the league. It's with a few exceptions, there weren't a ton of offensive players made available. And, we suspected that might be the case. I think in a 30-team league, you had as many as 20 teams that were, in ad mode. You had maybe another 5 that were in straddle the line mode until the very end, and there were only 5 or 6 clear sellers in the market. And for the better part of the trade deadline period, those 5 or 6 teams really may not have had the types of players that typically put you over the edge in a postseason push. So it created a little bit of a slower drag, and it picked up quite a bit this week. But in general, I think a pretty quiet deadline by the standards of trade deadlines.
Jerry, as we look in the rearview mirror, it feels somewhat similar. You may tell me it's totally different, but it feels somewhat similar to me from the outside of what the trade market was like in the offseason, especially when it came to hitters. In a market, bears what the market is willing to bear. Is the market now, from a trade standpoint, just so much heavier in the arms than it is teams really willing to deal a difference-making young bat?
I don't know the answer to that question. It varies from team to team. It varies by what you're willing to part with to get something. And I think in this particular case, it was affected a great deal by the fact that there are so many teams that are still within shouting distance of that postseason line, so to speak. So, and that is in both leagues. There are a number of teams that have a real shot at chasing that wild card, and teams want to compete. They want to win. And I think as a result, not a lot of bats were changing addresses. And it may have been the case in the off season. I didn't sense it was quite as difficult in the off season as it is now, but a lot of guys changed addresses over these last few days. So it wasn't a zero.
How did you decide to deal Paul Sewald?
We went into the deadline with the idea that we were going to see if we could maximize, the bring back in any kind of Paul Sewald deal. And we knew the holes that we wanted to fill moving forward. So, whether that be smaller deals or targeted deals with other teams to find short-term help, we wanted a second baseman, preferably left-handed hitter. We wanted, to add in the outfield. And we were able to find a marriage with Arizona. We had, I think, to be fair, 3 teams that we considered to be finalists. And we felt like dealing from a strength, which has been our bullpen for multiple years, and maximizing a return with controllable players we could move forward with was an important step for us as an organization. And we found a trio of players that we thought fit our roster very well. We didn't trade for faraway prospects. We traded for guys that step on the field and we feel make us better today and into 24 and beyond.
Just out of curiosity, without giving away the teams or the players that were also in the mix there, were the packages similar or were they styled differently in terms of number of players or proximity to the big leagues, et cetera?
All those things, each team you deal with, because they are also, the Diamondbacks are also contending right now. So you're trying to thread a needle there. And as a matter of fact, every team that we talked to who had interest in Paul Sewald was a contending club. So you're in a unique situation where the best value that you're going to get for Paul Sewald at a trade deadline is coming from a contending club while you also see yourself as a contending club. And, we love the package that we were able to get. We thought it was the most impactful that we could bring in with Dom Canzone and Josh Rojas and Ryan Bliss. It gives us an outfielder to grow with. He's 25 years old, big tools. We think he can really hit. Josh Rojas is a year removed from a very good season in Arizona, 2 solid seasons in his first 2. And, this year battled through an injury and hasn't played to his level. But we think this is a great bounce back candidate with defensive skills who can really run the bases and gives us a patient on base, presence in our lineup. And Ryan Bliss is a fun player for tomorrow. He's a 23-year-old infielder who has destroyed the upper levels of the minors this year, can hit, can get on base, has a little power, and he can really run and gives us another element. And I don't know if that happens in September or sometime in 2024, but not too far away.
What was that final conversation like with Paul?
Paul was great, and this was not a surprise to Paul or to anyone in our clubhouse. I think it was understood that this was, these are the times when, as a player, what's happening in the market. And Paul was very much in demand. We had as many as 15 teams reach out on him, and it was a long deadline period to get to the point where we thought these were the best deals we could do. We were patient in allowing it to form. And then sitting down with Paul, first thing that I said to Paul, Scott shared his thoughts and I shared mine, which is, we can't be thankful enough for what he did here. And he was awesome for us for 3 years. And I said to him, I don't know who's going to pitch the 9th inning for us tonight, but we'll figure it out. We've got a good group down there. And I really do feel like this is an opportunity for us to get better. And he said, that's your job. Your job is to make the Mariners better. My job is to pitch. And, he said, I've loved it here. I'll go pitch for the Diamondbacks, and there'll always be a part of me that's a Mariner. And he's a pro. He's a great guy. And and I wish him nothing but the best.
As savvy and smart as he is, and we've gotten a chance to talk to him, and he truly is one of our favorites, just curious, does he ever throw back to you guys and say, hey, if there were 15 teams that called on me, what were some of the other? And not that you need to share some of the others with us, but did you share it with them, or does he even ask? Yeah.
No, frankly, no. and if you ask me, I won't tell you either, because there's humans on the other end.
Yeah. How repeatable is the Paul Sewald story? And I guess what I mean is finding a guy that has that kind of stuff that wasn't being utilized necessarily the best way and helping him unlock all of that potential.
To have it result in the kind of success that Paul experienced and contributed for us that's got to be, the tip of the mountain, or the top of the mountain. His performance was phenomenal. He took to it very quickly, and partly because as you said, very smart. Paul came in as a willing participant, wanted to see what we could do to help him, and it worked out very well. He's committed to it. That being said, he turned into one of the best relievers in the league for a 3-year period. So to say that that's easily repeatable would be, a little pompous. And I think we're good at this. I do believe that we've, experienced real gains with other guys, and they're sitting in our bullpen right now, whether they be converted starters in the minor leagues. It's guys we picked up in smaller trades. It's helping players take the next step in their career. And I'm confident that our group can continue to do that. Will it result in another Paul Sewald story? I don't know. I sure hope so, but I can't say that that's a certainty because of how good Paul was.
I listened to Justin after the deadline on with our afternoon show with Wyman and Bob, and I heard him say that it might be time to kind of look at the process that led to some of the acquisitions over the years. I just wanted to follow up on it because I didn't know exactly what that meant, or some of the conversations you guys have maybe had in the background about how to help fine tune that process.
We're doing the best we can to put a team on the field every year that has a chance to compete and to go win. We're trying to manage present major league talent with future major league talent that's coming through our systems. We're trying to build bridges. We're trying to create lineups that work versus rights and versus lefts. We're trying to do all of that. And every year we revisit our process or processes, no matter. We go through and we sit down in August every year. Our front office takes a trip with the Major League Club. We kind of sequester ourselves in a big boardroom at a hotel, and we talk through our process and what does that look like. So Justin's not Justin's not informing you that we're going to go in and recreate our machine. We do this annually. We recheck our systems and our programs, our decision-making, and our process. We determine what went right, what went wrong, and then we try to do something a little bit different to solve the wrongs and then double down on the rights.
Help me. I want to learn a little bit more about the players you did acquire, and starting with Canzone, who we've had a chance to see a little bit of. I just see the body and immediately and the swing. It just reminded me so much of Hunter Pence and just that style. What kind of a player are you hoping he is?
I hope it turns out to be Hunter Pence, because that would be a grand slam for us. Hunter was an awesome player. But, Dom is, as a left-handed hitter, he's got a little bit of a whippy swing. He's got a slender, athletic build. He can run a little bit. He can throw a lot. He's a good defensive outfielder who also plays first base, and he has hit wherever he's gone. He barrels the ball. He uses the gaps. He's got over-the-fence power. And he's pretty accurate with his swing. He's a very aggressive hitter, but he barrels it a lot. And, it's not the stand in the box, patient, work counts, grind it type of bopper in the corner. This is a field hit, whip the bat. We feel like has a chance to really grow. And we feel like he has a swing that suits our ballpark. He's got that pull side whip and that the low line drives. He's also, as you've seen in his first couple of days here as a Mariner, he's got some lift to the opposite field, to the gap, and it's sneaky strong when it comes off the bat. And we're really excited about what his upside potential is. We thought one of the more interesting targets during the trade deadline in general, and a great fit for us.
How about the young second baseman? The kid out of, I believe he's War Eagle, certainly not Roll Tide. He's the one that we're not talking about maybe the most, because we've seen now Rojas and Canzone. How about Bliss?
Ryan is a former second-round draft pick, like you said, out of Auburn. I think he is a guy who, like so many of our targets, went through a bit of a swing change recently. And, he came into pro ball as a pretty celebrated player. Had a very good career at Auburn, particularly his launch year or draft year, and did it in the SEC against very high competition. He's not a big physical guy. Ryan's 5'6", 5'7", but he's athletic and strong. He has sneaky power for a guy his size, has always been able to hit and move the ball around the field. Changed his swing a little, added some lift, added some exit velo, and he's hitting the ball as hard or harder than he's ever hit it. And he's also a runner. He's a multi-position defender, plays shortstop, second base. We think he's going to wind up at second base. And on a 80 scale, 20 to 80 scale, we think he's about a 60, 65 runner. So it's a different type of player than we've had at second base in recent years. It's a speed, defense, move it around, hit tool type of player that we're really excited to add to this.
You're not going to let him pitch, are you? I saw that his bio still says relief pitcher on it.
Yeah, we're going to pass on the pitching and just
good.
let him focus on hitting and playing second base. In the
I wasn't sure
shortstop.
if we had sort of a second base Shohei Ohtani on our hands. I wasn't sure what this was going to look like. Hey, you entered this deadline without Jared Kelenic for some time. Did that affect the players you chose or the way you approached this deadline?
Not at all. We were going for the best talent we could bring back in return, knowing that we wanted to create a bridge headed into our off season. And that bridge included backfilling second base, adding to our outfield depth, increasing the depth in our lineup. And as I've said, we wanted to be good in 20. We think we have a good team. And, we thought we had a good team on opening day. We didn't play well in the first half. We are playing well now. And, we want to be respectful of what our team is telling us. So we weren't inclined to go make wholesale changes. We didn't want to pawn off every, pending free agent, move them down the road to add as much future talent as we could. We wanted to be precise in the future talent that we were targeting and go out and find players that we thought suited us. And, and Dom and Ryan and Josh suit us. And, Trent Thornton, it was quiet and a little earlier in the week, but he suits us. They're players that do the things that we value, and we feel like they just make us a better team.
We're going to see Dom play some first base.
Yeah, I think you will. I don't know that you're going to see it, today or tomorrow, but it's part of the package with Dom. He does it. We think he does it pretty well. It gives us a chance to give Ty a little bit of a blow from time to time, which has never really been in the cards, especially against tougher right-hand pitching. And when Ty's going good, he can play and hit against anybody. And sometimes, even the best of us needs a day off. And he hasn't had a ton of those opportunities because it wasn't an area of depth for us. And it just got a little bit deeper.
Last thing for me, and thank you as always for all of this time, Jerry, suits us. I kind of like the way you frame that. It suits us. It feels to me through your drafts, through these acquisitions, what's suiting you guys is a lot of athleticism. Am I overreading that? Because I see a lot of speed, a lot of dynamic athleticism, maybe with some rule changes in baseball, and Cincy showed us this year, and Arizona's shown us this year that athleticism may play a little bit more.
Yeah, and this dates back to when I arrived in 2015. We have, slowly but surely been getting more and more athletic. And our scouting group, Scott Hunter, Frankie Thon, Brendan Damaraki, do a phenomenal job of finding players that do the things that we love. It's, finding guys like Dom, like Josh, like Dylan Moore, like, Jose Caballero, and I could go on, Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelnick. We feel like the next version of the Mariners, and maybe what's starting to evolve as this version of the Mariners, is a fun team that can move on the bases, that can take the two bags, that can score from first on an extra base hit. And it's the game that we want to play, and sometimes you have to work through and build the bridges on your roster, to make that possible. And athletes, they work, and we're getting more athletic.
It's not deadline specific at all, but I just got to ask about him based on the last week or so, and that's J.P. Crawford. Where is his toughness at? I mean, I see him foul 2 balls off his knee over the course of 2 games, and later that same game make an unbelievable diving catch. Where would you be without J.P. Crawford right now?
I don't know, but we can go back to revisiting some off-season conversations and as to the sanity of our committing to JP. We love JP. And his toughness, his leadership, the fact that he shows up every day, it matters. And he's having his best season. I can't imagine having been rewarded more than he has for the hard work he did this offseason. He really committed to doing some different things in his offseason prep, and it's showing up. I mean, a 780, I think, OPS in that general range, with more power than he's ever shown. He's hitting the ball, spraying it around the field, and showing his typical excellent strike zone judgment, and doing it at the top of the lineup pretty consistently. And he's been an on-base presence, and he's always there for you. He may not consistently win Gold Gloves, but he has the ability to win a Gold Glove. And when the final play, as evidenced the other night against the Red Sox, when the final play, you want them to hit the ball to J.P. Crawford because he's the guy that has the belly to get it done.
It was a heck of a play, and to do it just a few minutes after he had taken that ball off his knee, I just thought was incredibly impressive. Jerry, appreciate you coming on and talking through.
You got it, guys.